Hey, this is Melody Fletcher, and I teach the law of attraction to highly intellectual people like you and me in a way that actually makes some freaking sense. And my happy, shiny puppy army, I have a huge treat for you guys today. All right, so a few weeks ago, I was at this conference in Dallas, and it's essentially for internet marketers that are really heart-centered like me, and I always go and I always have a fantastic time. Well, this young gentleman walks up to me, and he looks kind of familiar to me, and actually, I'm really shit with names, you guys, but I'm really good with faces. So usually, if I've met you before, if we've hung out, if we've had a conversation, I'm going to remember that I met you. I might not remember your name. It's kind of like that. But I could not place him. He just kind of looked familiar, but it was really irking me. And so I said, I'm so sorry, I don't know what your name is. Can you please tell me? And he told me his name, and it still didn't click. And then he told me who he was, and we actually met at this conference, the same kind of conference, 6 months earlier. And the reason why I didn't recognize him is because he had physically changed, and I'll let him tell you how. He physically changed so much in that time. And he told me the best thing ever, you guys, best moment of my life. He told me it was all due to my book, which I had gifted him 6 months earlier. And so he got a lot out of the book. So I wanted to interview him for you guys, and also for me, because I just think it's awesome. Because this is a person who is really living this stuff and shaping his life. And he's got a fantastic destiny. He's got incredible energy. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Terrence Ward. Welcome, Terrence.
Thank you, Melody. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I think we have a little bit of a delay, so we're going to see if that works. All right. So Terrence, tell us, because everyone's going to be like, what the fuck did you do? How'd you change your body? What'd you do?
Well, first of all, I mean, I kind of, there was a part in your book where you described how, there was a part in your book that described how not all feelings are negative in terms of how we normally associate them to be negative. If you're feeling down or you're feeling depressed or sad or angry or frustrated, it's really the universe kind of giving you a little poke in the ass saying, hey, you need to change something.
Yep.
And I never really clicked that in until after reading the book. And it's like, you know, I've been unhappy with my weight for a really, really long time. I don't think I've actually remembered being able to count my ribs until, I don't remember being able to count my ribs since I was 8 years old. And the part of my reality kind of being this big reflection chamber of the energy that I'm putting into it, it just kind of clicked. It just made sense. I had my aha moment. And I said to myself, you know, this is enough. This is enough. You're worth more than this, and you don't need to be in that place anymore. So I did a little bit of research, and you know, it's funny too, because when I kind of had that aha moment, I went to this award ceremony for what we have a Consumer Choice Awards up here in Canada. I don't know if you guys have them down there, but we were being awarded for being the best in our field, and we sat next to this table, and there's a woman going on about this product that is just completely gaga over this product that helped her lose so much weight and helped her daughter with her emotional issues, etc. And I'm like, this sounds like voodoo. What is this? And she said, well, it's the ketogenic diet. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. So I did a little bit of research, and it's amazing because just out of nowhere, this kind of falls on my lap. And I think that was kind of my
What a coinky dink, right? So,
right, exactly.
Before you go on, I know everybody's sitting at the edge of their seat. How much weight did you lose?
I've lost 60 pounds since last April.
60 pounds. So, and that's in 6 months, because I mean, and it changed you so much. I did not recognize you when you walked, and we hung out 6 months ago. This wasn't just like a quick meeting, like, oh, hi, your name is, I think, no, we hung out, we talked, and I didn't recognize you, which is huge. And I know that was, you know, that was a great moment for both of us. So, which is why I said, we got to put it on camera.
The complete gobsmack on your face when you kind of clicked on who I was priceless. That was absolutely worth all of the pain and anguish of the last 6 months. But there was no pain and anguish over the last 6 months because the energy I was feeding just made it really easy. Once I kind of had my aha moment and it clicked.
So you had your aha moment, it clicked, and then a path opened up.
It did.
Right? Because
it was
I want that to be and I want you to tell your story, but I'm going to point out a few things here and there, because
Absolutely.
particularly when it comes to weight, and I think the first thing I said to you when it finally clicked who you were, and we hugged and everything, was, "Oh my God, I'm a better teacher than I am a student." Clearly, So I'm always a perpetual student, and so I'm here as a teacher and a student. But I want to point out some things that are so important here. Is that it wasn't that you found the right diet and then lost the weight, because I can't really imagine that if you've been trying to lose weight for a long time that you have not come across the ketogenic diet before in some sense. The protein diet, right, or the Atkins diet. This is all along the same thing. But when you lined up your energy, then it came in a way, in a form, easily, that got your attention, that actually worked for you. So it was about lining up the energy, having the aha moment, the click before. And then it didn't really matter what came in. Whatever came in would have worked. Like, that's what came in.
Yeah. And I mean, it wouldn't have mattered if I did the high carb, low fat diet. It would have just happened either way. I mean, when I've done Atkins before, I lost a couple of pounds and it didn't really take. I put the weight right back on because that energy just wasn't there. I didn't have my aha moment. It reminds me when I was in martial arts. I mean, martial arts, I can do that now. 60 pounds ago, there's no way I'd be rolling on the mat. It's really exciting because it's really something I really, really enjoy. It makes me feel really good to be able to do those kinds of maneuvers now.
Awesome.
But at the end of the class, we were standing in a line, bowing to Sensei, and he always asks us if there's anybody with a contribution. And one of my classmates puts his hands up and says, "I really want to give respect to Terrence because for you to lose 60 pounds, that's more than just a diet. That is a fundamental shift in your reality. That is a fundamental shift in your personality." And I'm like, I wish I could explain to you all the mechanics that went behind this, but really you need to read this book. It changed my life.
Oh, yay. So that's what you're saying to him.
Yes, absolutely.
The book being Deliberate Receiving, Finally the Universe Makes Some Freaking Sense. So,
yes.
So what was so thank you for recommending that. What was your big aha moment? Because I know you were saying earlier that it's kind of complicated to explain that kind of a shift. But you're, in the company of non-muggles now who totally get it. So maybe it's not so complicated to explain because we all get it and the audience gets it. So can you talk a little bit about what this aha moment really was for you?
Sure. I think probably like the rest of the shiny happy puppies have watched this little movie that kind of really only explained half of what we really needed to know. And, it was all well and good to put my intention out into the universe and try and attract what I wanted. But what I didn't realize was my negative energy was also attracting those negative things. I didn't realize that, I literally was broadcasting my reality, that I literally could, I'm a big Star Trek geek. I have to admit that. I'm a big Trekkie. And in Star Trek The Next Generation, when they came up with these holodecks, I thought that was the most amazing thing. And then to kind of realize that I'm figuratively and literally walking around in my own personal holodeck.
Yes.
Except the imagery isn't being controlled by a computer. It's being controlled by my heart, my emotions, my energy, and what I'm putting out. It just really kind of changed my perception. It was a fundamental shift in how I saw things. Mm-hmm. So now when the explicitive cuts me off in traffic, I don't get angry at him, because it's not really it's not really the energy that I want to put out there. I mean, if I mm-hmm. start getting angry in traffic, what does that lead to down the road? I start driving more aggressively, and perhaps I get into an accident later because I decided to get angry at something that didn't really even matter. So I watch.
So you feel like it's more than just your weight has changed. You are showing up differently. You're seeing the world differently and your place in it.
I honestly believe that I present myself differently because, you know, it's again, another dojo story for you. I have notoriously rotten teeth, and I've always said that I'm going to have to get, I'm going to have to go and get a dentist, but implants are very expensive. They're about $10,000 per set. I'm looking at probably $30,000 for all of the teeth that I need to get done. And there's just no way I can do that right now. So I said to myself, you know, if I could find a dentist who'd be willing to do a barter agreement with me, because I'm a really talented web developer, if I could do a website for this gentleman or lady, sorry, I'm not, you know,
All right. We forgive you,
rewind.
Terrence.
Okay. No, if I can find a dentist who'd be willing to barter with me, who'd be willing to do my implants in exchange for a really great website, then that would be great. And it's funny too, because I train with a dentist, and I said to him, if you have any friends who could use this service in exchange for, because I know he's not an implantist, right? If you have any friends who could help out with this, and I'd do a really great energy about me when I made the request. I had this, I wouldn't say anticipation or expectation. I just had a really good feeling about it. And he looks at me and he says, "You're kidding, right?" And I'm like, "No, why?" And he says, he points to the other side of the classroom where there was a guest person training. And he says, "That is the best dental implantist in Canada." And I was shocked, and I'm like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Okay." So I went over, I introduced myself, and I said, "You know, I understand that you're, you know, top tier implantist in Canada. You go all over doing presentations to universities and whatnot. And you know, if you could see to maybe tell some of your peers that, you know, I'd be willing to do this really great website for them in exchange for some service, that would be fabulous. That would really help me out." And he's like, "Well, you know, I've been looking to redo the President's Association website. So give my office a call and let the girls know that I'm expecting your call."
That is exactly how that should happen. Thank you very much. What a wonderful example. That is exactly how that should happen. You line up your energy, and it happens not just a little bit, but like in the best, not just a implantist, like the best damn implantist. I don't even know if that's a word, but whatever, we're going with it, in Canada. Right?
Yeah.
So, and oh no, not just I know him. He's here today as a guest.
Right now.
That's
right
how that shit happens. That is perfect. That is exactly how that you line up the energy and it manifests. You line up the energy and it manifests. And it manifests when you're open to it better than you ever could have orchestrated yourself. There's no way you could have thought of that.
And I mean, these are just little things and big things that have been happening since I opened my mind to this. You know, I when I first heard of the secret, the law of attraction, I was
like the secret.
I had a firm belief in the law of attraction, but it was really frustrating. And I think that added to that frustration level because I was trying to attract these good things, but I was also in this really kind of dark place where the things I were attracting was not exactly what I really wanted. You know, I had all of these preconceived beliefs. I had these limiting beliefs that were holding me back. And once I realized that, you know, I'm the maestro, I'm the one who's pulling the strings. Mm-hmm. There's no outside force gunning for me. It really made a big difference.
That's huge, isn't it?
Absolutely.
To have that realization that, you know, and this is something that so many people struggle with because when they first have that awakening, they're very resistant to it because it makes it can be interpreted and often is in the beginning as, well, if it's all up to me, then it's all my fault. Then all the shit that's in my life is my fault. And all the bad stuff that happens is my fault. And that, of course, is crushing the guilt and the weight and the obligation. Whereas if you turn it on its head and you leave the blame out of it and you make it into responsibility, true responsibility, which is a much higher vibrational word than if we confuse it with blame or obligation. The responsibility means now you can take responsibility for your creation, and you can
Yeah.
actually do something about it. So it isn't your fault that everything happened, because did you know you were creating it? Did you deliberately choose everything? No. It was all old programs
No.
that were running in there that were, obsolete, but they're still creating, and you didn't even know it. But when you take
See, now you're talking
responsibility,
my language.
exactly. So when you take responsibility, now you can actually do something about it, and it becomes freeing. Yeah. And it's a
Mm-hmm.
huge, huge shift. That is the biggest shift that we have to make in order to actually use this law of attraction, reality creation stuff, is to realize that we're the creators. The hologram is dependent on us, not some
It's
outside
not the
force
computer.
that's doing it
It's
to
not the
us.
computer. It's interactive to us, and that was the big shift. It's not the computer running the show. It's me.
Yeah.
And I used to really hate the show. I'll be quite honest with you. I really hated the show, and now I kind of love the show. I'm traveling all over the world. I just last year alone, I flew to Dallas and Phoenix for a particular conference, and I met a bunch of great people who've really just kind of been feeding into that energy. I had a really spectacular idea in April, but I was kind of still on the fence. I hadn't read your book yet. And I was so gung-ho for this thing, and I knew within 3 months of getting back from this conference that I was going to be just beyond. And guess what happened? Nothing. But that being said, 6 months later, I've gone through one major transformation already. I have had enough time to go through this a couple of times to kind of decode it a little bit more. And I am now well on my way to launching a product in January that is going to change the world. I'm not going to get into it yet.
No, you know what?
Maybe
Go ahead.
do that.
Because I want to show people, and I didn't ask you to do this, but I'm going to ask you to do it now, because I want to show people what's out there, what's possible. What is this switched on person who's just realized that he is, in fact, in charge of his reality? What is a person like that doing? And I want to show examples of people who are doing this. And so you're kind of my guinea pig, Terrence. And, and everybody, please give Terrence lots of love in the comments. But also let me know if this is helpful to you, because we can do some more of this, So Terrence, you're the first. But I kind of I want you to tell people, what is it that you're doing? What was your big idea? No one's going to steal it because no one's got your talent. You do you, nobody else can do you. So what is it that you're putting on? I'm super excited about what you're doing. So go ahead and share it.
Okay. Like I said, 6 months ago, I went into this marketing conference, and I had this original idea that would help out the small community of people that were there. And by the time I left the marketing conference, my world had kind of blown up a little bit, and the seed of the idea had kind of planted. And 6 months later, it's just so much greater. And what it is, I'm opening a code school for Minecraft kids. I want to be responsible for bringing the next generation of avid programmers into the world and guiding them along their path. And I'm also going to be partnering up with STEM associations to try and bring more girls into the program, just because I'm a firm believer in equal rights, and there's not enough girls in programming. Science, technology, engineering, and math. We desperately need more women. So absolutely send your kids to the program, because we need more programmers. But the thing is this is, I started programming when I was 6 years old. Mm-hmm. For me now, it's as natural to me as breathing. And it is something that is no longer something that is kind of a hobby for people. In today's world, it's actually becoming a necessary skill, you to have at least a little bit of understanding in code creation or code understanding in the professional workforce. So if mm-hmm. I can get kids passionate about programming and something that they love, something so pure like Minecraft, what an amazing thing. And in January, I am going to be releasing my first 9-week program to the world to teach mm-hmm. kids how to do plug-in programming in Minecraft from start to finish, and they're going to have my support the whole way.
And you and I are going to be releasing our programs at the same time because we're launching in
Awesome.
January as well, Reality Academy. So we'll put a link underneath this video for people to be able to check you out, because if there's anybody with kids and a Minecraft kid or a bored kid who needs a challenge because school's too easy and there's nobody there to teach them this stuff, if they want to check you out, they can. And I would recommend it because I know how passionate you are. But and I so believe in this. I think Minecraft is like the best thing ever. I don't play it, but I have a nephew who does and who exposed me to it. And it's all about, for people who don't know what Minecraft is, it's essentially pure creation. They give you building blocks and then they go, whoop, and then you like figure that and you create worlds, and it's amazing. It's pure imagination. But what did you feel, because this is a big jump to make, 6 months ago, you had this idea, you were starting to flesh it out, you kind of hit it. I remember I was there. We got all excited because we're like, ooh, that's it, and then here you are, you've made this big transition 6 months later, and people have no idea how challenging it is to have an idea and bring it to fruition. And
I don't think people understand.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I don't think people understand exactly how challenging it is to just get behind a camera.
Well, and everything that goes along with it, but all of the steps that have to be taken to, I believe in myself, I can do this. I believe people will pay me for this. I believe that, yes. That I have what it takes, that I'm good enough, that I'm worthy, that I'm not an imposter, all of this bullshit. And then I can get in front of a camera. I can learn all the skills I need to learn. I can put myself out there. I can handle all the ridicule that's definitely going to come at me from all the internet trolls, because that that's just going to happen, even though, do you really? Does it have to? And how much, so, I think it's, I call it challenging instead of scary as fuck, but it's both. And, I think that a lot of people think that people who succeed in this way, that, they or we, whatever, are special people. And it's like, no, we are scared every step of the way. And we have to challenge ourselves to overcome those fears. But how has you having this really big epiphany and maybe, some others where it's, you realize that you are in charge of your reality, that you are the creator, that you're at the center of the hologram. How has that helped you on this journey? That sort of stepping into your power and realizing that you can do this, you can build this company.
I think the concept of recognition that I am the director has given me the courage, because I know that ultimately, make or break, it comes down to what I'm putting out there. If I truly am the director, then I'm going to direct it this way. There's always nagging doubts. It's, like you said, it's always scary. But, it comes down to it. If I don't try, I fail by default.
Yeah.
And I lose nothing for trying. This is my reality. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? I'm going to stop breathing because I might actually win? No. It's scary, yes, but I think that when I feel that fear, it's not even really fear, it's a nervous energy. And I've mistaken it for fear before, but it's not. It's excitement. It's that bundle of energy, like my entire soul is saying, yes, let's do this. Finally, let's go. And it's so easy to recognize that feel that your heart just wanting to beat out of its chest as anxiety and scary and, oh my God, let's run away. No, that's your fight or flight. Stop running. Let's fight. Let's do it.
Yes.
And that's where I'm at. I this idea for helping kids and programming, and it comes not from the fact that, I want to build a business. That's the gravy. That's the cherry on top. No. The why behind this is because my kids got me into Minecraft. My now 14-year-old and 12-year-old 4 years ago got me into Minecraft. And I wanted to give them a safe place to play. If they join a big server, they have no control over the trolls, like you were saying. They can come on and push them about and whatnot. Whereas if I ran a server, then I could direct who was allowed on the server. If people got out of line, we'd be able to remove them. I'd be able to empower my kids to be able to do so. And especially due to the fact that my 12-year-old is autistic. Mm-hmm. He deals with things a little bit differently, and he's a little more sensitive to those kinds of things. So, I wanted him to have that experience without kind of having to deal with that, with the bad stuff that might come with it. Right?
Yes.
And it was great that I could do that for my kids. But now I want to do that for all the kids. I want to empower them to run their own servers so that they know they're safe, because they have the power to boot out the bad guys. They have the power to keep it safe. They have the power to make it awesome. And I honestly think that I would be doing a disservice if I didn't put this product out there. That's because right. It needs to be done.
That's right. And once again, I just want to point out the path opening up, because, you said it so well. You're like, the business is the gravy. So instead of sitting down and going, what business can I start? What business can I start? What business can I start? It was, I want to do this because I'm passionate about this. And then it's like, oh gosh, I could turn this into a business. I could do this thing that I absolutely want to do that you couldn't hold me back from doing. And that was the big aha moment, wasn't it? It's like, let me turn this thing that I'm already passionate about into a business, that could become a viable business, rather than having to sacrifice or, let me go into a gray cubicle and work at that. And then maybe I get to do this Minecraft stuff on the side. You can actually take this thing, again, focusing on the energy of what makes your heart sing, and then the path opens up. Oh gosh, so money can come through this and other things and opportunities, and, and that's exactly how it happens. So again, perfect example. It's exactly how I wanted to showcase you, because, and thank you for being willing to be my showcase guinea pig, because I kind of wanted to do this for a while, and, but now it's kind of fell right into my lap. I didn't even have to work for it. So, yay. It's so beautiful. So thank you so much for being willing to be here. And we'll put your deets under the video for people who want to check you out, check out more about the Minecraft stuff. But congratulations on all the changes that you've made.
Well, we're still heavy in development right now. So.
Sorry?
We're still heavy in development right now. Like I said, it's going to be a mid-January release, but I'll definitely give you a link to our waiting list.
Okay, fantastic. Just so people can check you out if they want to, and they know where to go, because I don't want to get a bunch of emails. Where do we go for Terrence? The link will be underneath. But also, on the transition that you've made physical, on the aha moments that you've had, because, I would love to give all the credit to my book. I really would, because my book is fucking awesome. I get it. But what happened is you were ready to manifest it. And I got to be privileged. Enough to be a little bit of that delivery mechanism for you, which is why I'm inspired to give you my book, and for you to then read it and not just put it aside. And it was the delivery mechanism, but you were always going to manifest this clarity. I just got to be involved. So I'm happy that I got to be involved.
Well, I think honestly, in the grand scheme of things, you were the little kick in the ass that I needed. I was kind of on the path, but I was kind of all over the place. And, without Melody's wisdom, without your wisdom, I think I'd probably still be lost right now. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. All right. And I will take credit for the ass kicking, because I do that. I'm like, he needs to have his ass kicked. All right. I'm willing to be that person. So, but that's why I get to play with awesome people like you, because I'm willing to be that person. So, so again, thank you so much, Terrence. I really appreciate it. And guys, give Terrence lots of love and hugs, smushy hugs in the comments, please, for agreeing to do this. And let me know if this was helpful to you in any way, shape, or form. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can do it there, or come to the blog. That's where all the wonderful action is. And check out Terrence's stuff, you guys. It's awesome. So I will see you when I see you soon. And happy, shiny, smushy puppy hugs for everybody. Bye.
Thanks for having me.